Hey, it's Alec Torelli. In this video, I'm going to show you the exact step-by-step process I would use if I was starting over and wanted what I think is the easiest way to build a side hustle or a business that I think can scale to 5 to 10K a month in profit without leaving the house and without having a lot of expenses or startup costs, and something that pretty much anyone can start over the weekend. I know that sounds like a big claim, so I'm gonna back it up in this video. I'm gonna show you exactly what I would do. And if this video gets 100 likes, I will actually do this and record my process of doing it for you so you can see me test this out and sort of put money where my mouth is to see if this actually works. Let's dive in. So I actually talk to and mentor a few people in their young 20s, and we talk about often like what are the new businesses that they could pursue, what are the opportunities for them, and what is like the cultural zeitgeist of what's happening right now for that generation. And so for me coming up, it was poker. Like that was what all my friends were talking about. That was the cool thing. That was the hot ticket. That was where people were seeing opportunity for my group of friends, or like people coming up where poker was booming in 2003 when I first got into the game. In previous years, maybe it was crypto. Today, I think that opportunity is in AI, and that's kind of what everyone's talking about. So if I was in high school now, or like young college, or just starting out my career, I would build something around that flywheel. And I'm going to walk you through a very simple model that I think anyone could get started with for very cheap and very effectively, and something you could try out immediately to see if it works. I think the opportunity has never been better. I think me coming up in poker, I sound old, like I'm dating myself, like, you know, we had it so hard. It was not hard, but it was harder than it is today. So it's gotten easier because the leverage and the arc and the growth of technology has made things so much faster, so much more efficient, so much easier. The barriers to entry are so much lower. And so I think this is an amazing opportunity, and I'll walk you through exactly how this looks. So the first thing I would do is I would just get familiar with AI platforms. I understand that it seems like everyone's talking about this on Twitter or social media. So depending on where you are, you might be very familiar, you might be not familiar at all. It's a little bit of an echo chamber on like Twitter because everybody's sort of using and talking about AI and whatever. But if you look at the general context, there's very few people that are actually using AI on a daily basis, or paying for subscriptions, or coding with AI, or learning how to build things with AI. So it's like a very, very small percentage of people that are actually using it for like a productive purpose. Some people use it for like new modern equivalent of Google searching, but that is very diametrically different than what I'm talking about here. So I would get familiar with the programs. I would learn something like Codex or Claude Code. It sounds intimidating. I learned this myself. I like vibe coded, as it's called, an app. I built an entire app and ecosystem learning these tools and methodologies. And yeah, there is some learning curve, but that's far harder than what I'm going to share with you here today. So I would just first learn these tools. The baseline tools are maybe $20 a month for a GPT subscription or a Claude subscription. And with that, you could basically do everything that I'm going to share with you here pretty much. So that would be like the first step. Once you learn how to use these tools simply on a daily basis, that would be the first step. The second thing I would do, as far as like the business and what actually I would see as a business that I actually recommended to some of the people I'm mentoring, is to look for inefficiencies in existing businesses and solve their biggest problem. So businesses are typically focused on operating their business. They're not actually focused on the marketing of their business. And so they're very good at whatever it is that they specifically do. So if it's a baker, they might be very good at baking, but they're not great at necessarily operating or running a bakery. Those are two very diametrically different skills. In fact, there's a great book called The E-Myth, which talks about this exact example. Like the person who's a baker thinks that, hey, I want to bake pies all day because I love baking, and so I'm going to open a pie shop. But then they realize that like all of their time is not spent baking, because they hire someone to bake the pies, then they have to manage the people, they have to pay the employees, they have to, find the flour, they have to ship it, they have to sell it, they have to like pay rent, they have to do payroll, they have to do all of these sort of things. They have accounting, and then they end up spending all of their time running the business and none of that time baking the pies. But this is how many people go into business, with this sort of, that's why it's called the myth, because it's the E-Myth. And so they basically go into business with this like grand vision of how their day is going to look, and it looks entirely different. So they get caught up doing all of these things that they didn't sign up for. They're not really skilled at. And one of those things is marketing. And so what you see is that a lot of businesses either don't have a basic functioning website, or the website is very bad and outdated, and it's not very communicative, and it's just not a good website at all. This is like one basic thing. You could apply this to anything we'll talk about, but the website is like the first and foremost obvious thing. This is like 25 years after the .com bubble, right? So this is like 25 years later, people still don't have a website. And this is true not just of like small businesses like a baker that's, on the street in the city with, 2 or 3 employees. This is true of some businesses that are like doing $10 million a year. I mean, it sounds crazy, but I've seen some of clients, people I work with, one guy I talked to is doing $30 million a year, and the website, like you would think that they're like not even a business with how bad the website is. So anyway, the point is that like this is very common and it scales. It's not just true of small businesses, but let's just say you wanted to start at a small business. So what you could do with AI is you can Google like your area, right? Google, I use the verb to look for, to search for all the businesses in your geolocation. So let's say you're in Dallas, Texas, and you put a zip code in Dallas, Texas, say, find me all of the, I would just focus on one subset of business, right? So that you can get specialized in one thing, right? You can learn to build websites or learn to do things for one type of business. So let's just say it was like dentistries, right? Dentists in Dallas, Texas. You ask GPT, find me a list of the top, 100 dentists in Dallas and show me their website, or show me their Google business page, or show me their listing, their profile. Then you could find out which one of those don't have a website. You could ask GPT this, they could create a spreadsheet for you, and you could just upload that to Google Docs. You have all this in a spreadsheet. You can do this with one click on a paid version of AI, right? So this is literally one click. Use the thinking version, the extended thinking version. It takes maybe 10 minutes to do this, right? You enter one prompt, 10 minutes later, you come back, you'll have the spreadsheet of 100 services. You could also set this up with an app like Hermes, where you actually tell it to do the outreach for you to send messages to these businesses. But that's kind of like more advanced. That's like kind of like level 2, level 3. What I would do is just cold call the business and say, hey, John, I'm Alec. I help small businesses like yourself help scale their marketing and build a website. I see you don't have a website. Why is that? And then they tell you something and say, cool. Well, look, I'm not here to waste your time. I could actually build you a website and you can see it for free. If you like it, I can add it to your business, and I'll do that for a one-time cost. It'll be $500, $1,000, whatever it is. And there's no reoccurring costs. If you don't like it, no problem. Do you have 5 minutes? I could show you the website. The business owner is going to say yes. If they don't have a website and you're offering them to show them a built, fully functioning website of their business that they can drive more leads to their business for free with no commitments, no strings, they will say yes to that. Then you get on a Zoom call, you show them the website that you built with AI, which I'll talk about in a second. And then if they like it, they will then buy it from you. You transfer the domain over to them. They own the website. They pay you $1,000, $500, whatever you want to charge. I think 1,000 is fine. You could start with 300, just start with 100. Just get them to say yes, just build confidence, get a testimonial from the person. You could put that on, you could use that to describe your services to other people and to build your own confidence. You can charge whatever you want. You can do it for free. I would just do it for free in the beginning, just to gain experience, to get comfort on the phone. A lot of people are uncomfortable on the phone. Selling is a loaded word. You're not really selling, but we'll talk about that in a second too. But anyway, so that's what you do. You offer them this service, they accept, you transfer them to the domain, you're done. So how do you do this? Well, the first way you do this is that you would use an AI website builder like Codex to build a website. You could literally one click build a website. There are agentic-specific AI that only builds websites, but you could use a generic model as well, so that your one subscription cost of $20 a month could build the website and do the research for you and write the emails for you. So you have like one service that does everything. You could write the script for you for what to say on the phone to the person if you're uncomfortable doing this. Like you could have one AI that's $20 a month doing all of this work. If you want to have a specific, let's say you're scaling this, you want to like find a specific AI that builds websites custom, you could pay a separate SaaS service for that. It'll be like another $20, $30 a month or whatever, depending on how much you use it. But the point is you can do this with Codex. It's super simple. You could one click do this. You can say, hey, here's the name of the business, here's their logo, they're a dentistry, build them this website. You could create a template, and then you could use that template for all the websites you build, or you could have a new template for every website. It'll do the code for you, it'll do the imaging for you, it'll do the layout for you, and you could, again, prompt an AI to do this with maybe one prompt, 2 prompts, 3 prompts, back and forth. It'll take maybe 10, 15 minutes for you to do this. So you show that to the business owner. You get on a Zoom call, you get on Google Meet. Hey, when do you have time this week? Give me 5 minutes, I'll show it to you. If you like it, good. If not, no harm, no foul. Hopefully give you some ideas and inspiration for what you can do in the future. They say yes, you get on the phone, they transfer you the money. You can take PayPal, you take Venmo, you take whatever you want. Take a credit card, you can set up a Stripe account, take a credit card payment. This all takes like a day to do. And then what I would do on the back end of that is I would take Alex Hormozi's course called $100 Million Leads, $100 Million Offers, and then I would create upsells to this business to then manage their website or do marketing for their website or have better offers for them in the future. Because once they have the website, you are genuinely committing on your offer. You're showing them the website for free. You're giving them access for life to the website for a one-time charge. You transfer the domain over to them. You transfer the code of the website over to them. You could host it on the domain for them. You could do all those things for them. You could offer that in your package. Like, look, I'll set up your hosting. I'll buy the domain for you. I'll take care of all of this. It'll be, $500 if you just want the website, $1,000 if you want me to do it all for you. They're going to take the $1,000 package, and you do it all for them and whatever. And then in the future, they're going to say, well, I want updates to my website, or I want to do marketing, or I want to add testimonials, or whatever, this and that. And you can have upsell. It's called upsells. You'll learn about more in Hormozi's course. It's like upsells to those programs. So basically, you can offer them additional services that they need after they have a website. Because after they have a website, what do they need? They need traffic to the website. They need to market the website. They need testimonials on the website. They want to update the website. They want to do a lot of different things surrounding the scope of marketing, which, remember, you're working with a baker, you're working with a butcher, you're working with a barber. All of these people got into the business because they're very good at those sorts of things. They're not good at marketing. So if you just come in the side door and like, hey, I'll get more people into your business so you could just focus on the business, starting with a website, that alone is a 1K ticket right there. I think $500 is like 100% reasonable. I think you could do 1K too, depending on the business you target. But $500, you're going to just have a lot of people say yes to this. If you make, let's say, you want to make 5K a month and you charge $500, you need 10 sales a month. So if you need 10 sales a month, and let's say like 5% of the people you call convert, well, then do the math. If you have 10 sales, you need to multiply that by 20. So you need 200 calls a month, right? So 200 calls a month divided by 4 weeks, you need 50 calls a week. There's 50 calls a week. You divide that, you need 10 calls a day. So 10 calls a day is 50 calls a week, 200 calls a month. You close 5% of those. That is 10 sales a month. You get 10 sales a month times 500. And do the math. That's $5,000. You charge $1,000, you have $10,000 a month. I mean, and this is basically, again, the website is basically, all this is like free to build. I mean, yes, the hosting might cost, the hosting of the domain, you might buy that for them and include that in your package so that you're not adding on, hey, it's $10 extra for the domain and you just paid me $1,000. Like, it doesn't look good. It's kind of like going to a hotel that charges $500 a night. They charge you $10 for parking, just like give you the parking free. Anyway, so it's like you want to wrap it all in. So your costs might be $20 a month for the AI. Plus, maybe you have a couple other AI services that you use, or you might be paid for the domains or whatever. So you're going to run at like 95% margins here. So you're going to spend less than $500 a month by far. I think you're going to spend $100 a month on this service to make 10K. And what is the cost? Your cost is your time. You're cold calling people. You're dialing businesses. You could walk into the business. I mean, like if you live in a metropolitan area, or you live in an area where there's a lot of small businesses, you can like literally just drive around and walk into the business. Hey, can I have 5 minutes of your time? I would build the website before going there, walk in, show them the website on the iPad or on a computer. Hey, John, do you work here? Yeah. Is it your business? No. John's back at 2. Okay, come back at 2. Hey, John, hey, do you have 5 minutes? I noticed you don't have a website. Does this look beautiful to you? I could give you this for $500. Oh, okay, sure. Boom, done. Like, I would just go and around town and do that hustle. Like basically, it's like a hustle is the wrong word. Like selling is the wrong word. So a lot of people have like a bad relationship with the idea of selling, or it's like a loaded word where it makes people feel like they don't want to do that because they're like, so it's sort of like a loaded word, a contrived word. But the reality is you're not selling anything. You're offering way more value than that person is giving you. They're giving you $500 and that website might make them $5,000 or $50,000 over the next months or years. So like, you're not ever selling something to someone something that they don't want. They're valuing that exchange of money that they're giving you more than that website. So they're the one on the better end of the bargain. You're offering something that in the past they don't have because they couldn't build it or because it was too expensive. In the past, websites, I know people that have spent $25,000 on a website. And so like, for a small business, that is a fortune. That is a ton of money. It's like no wonder they don't have a website. A, because the friction is high, they don't have the coding skills, or it's just too expensive. But AI has made that, compress those margins and made that cost basically go to zero. So you could offer them that service, and you sort of like arbitrage that difference. Now, this will probably compress over time, right? If people are running around town signing people up for websites, eventually, like, the efficiency of things, converges to its equilibrium. So like this is what happened in poker. The games were super soft. They were inefficient. People were really bad. Eventually people learned poker. Pros came in and the games got more efficient. This is just a function of free market economics. This is just always going to converge in this way. And so like eventually all these companies are going to have websites, or eventually they're going to learn to do it themselves, or they realize they could do it themselves. But this is going to take a long time. Again, the .com boom was 25 years ago. People still don't have websites. And, a lot of these like boomers or older businesses or whatever, people that are not technological savvy are just never going to learn AI or any of these sorts of things. So like, this is kind of like a one-time sort of transitional period where the tech has come to a point where anyone could learn to use it and monetize it in a way where the older generation cannot. In the future, it's not going to be this way because everyone that's under 25 today is going to know how to use AI. And so when they all start their own businesses, they're all going to have websites. They're all going to one-click build their websites. This is not going to be a service that's going to be around in 20, 30 years. But there's like a gold rush opportunity now to do this. And if you could pivot into these businesses, you can start to scale into bigger businesses. I mean, like I said, I know businesses doing millions of dollars a year that don't have a good functioning website. This is actually pretty common. It's actually like more common than it's not. And so that's actually crazy. And so you can target bigger businesses. And then again, if you could back on the upsells of these services that you could offer them around that as you learn their secondary problems, right? You stay in touch with John, the barbershop owner. He comes back to you in 2 weeks and he calls you up. Hey, Jake, how do I do this? Hey, I have this website. How do I add this and this and that? Or you talk to them. Hey, John, how's the new website going? Oh, great, but I don't have any reviews. Okay, cool. I'll get you reviews. And then you solve that problem and then you charge for that service. And you're offering way more value than you're providing than you're giving way more value than what you're charging for. So that person's going to come back. And so it's just like massive win-win dynamic. So again, this is what I would do if I was starting out. I genuinely think it would be easier to do this than it was to make money playing poker when I was coming up. I think the ceiling is much higher. And I think it's just like, I just think the learning curve is much lower. Like it's very hard to learn to be very good at poker. Like it took me a lot of time, but like learning this AI stuff like is pretty easy. Like I've never coded a line of code in my life. I've never opened terminal in my life on my Mac. I've been, on computers since I was 8 years old or whatever. I've never done any coding ever whatsoever of any kind. I hate all tech stuff. I have a team that does all that stuff with me. I vibe coded an app. Like I learned all of this stuff. I learned GitHub, Vercel. This is like exponentially more advanced than the shit I'm telling you right here. So it's like building this website stuff is like, I think anyone can learn to do this in a weekend type of thing using AI codes. If you just watch YouTube videos, tutorials on how to do it. Again, like and subscribe to this video if you like this channel, if it helps you. If this gets 100 likes, I will do this myself. I'll do the exact process and I'll show you how I do it. I'll use GPT, I'll cold call businesses, I'll try and sell them on this service, and I'll see if I can get one person to accept a $500 payment using the service so you can see that this actually works. I'll do this for a fun experiment. I actually enjoy this kind of stuff. It's kind of like, I actually would really enjoy doing this to see if this works, but hopefully if this video is helpful, you'll get to see me do it in real time and I'll document my journey and I'll share it with you on this channel. So hopefully you like this, subscribe to this channel, share this with someone that you think would benefit, especially if they're trying to look to start a side hustle. All my content, my ideas are free on this channel. They will be. And so the only thing I ask is a share or reference or word of mouth. Tell one other person so we can get this out to more people. I appreciate that. Thank you for your time. Good luck to you. And I'll see you in the next one.